This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to The Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, I did a TV interview about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, in Florida, and they all asked me if I'm hopeful about dating moving forward, and they've always asked that, but they asked me that in terms of, well, what now, and how do I feel differently versus last year? And I answered that the way I will answer to you guys is I think we're going to go through what I call the great dating reset. And we sort of did that about halfway a couple years ago, back during the days of Me Too. And you heard us last year and the year before talk about how there was a leaner cut of love out there because Me Too weeded out a couple of both sides of the dating pool, meaning there were a lot of women who felt both justified and validated in their opinion that men were bad and men couldn't be trusted and men were assholes, and they were sort of out. They were like, I'm out because I knew I was right. And so a pool of the women on one side just dropped out of the dating pool, which is fine, and that's all right. And a large group of the male pool dropped out because they're like, this is just too hard. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's impossible to figure out what the women want. And those guys went out. And those guys, you weren't dating those guys either. So we were left with sort of this middle 80% of people that were trying to communicate. Okay? 2-3 years go by. COVID happens. The world shuts down. A lot of people then physically went to pot. Literally went to pot, emotionally sort of retracted inside their worlds and their hole, and watched a lot of Netflix and drank a lot of wine and just went into a dark, dark place. But what that did to a lot of people was people who went to that place and always thought, well, what would it be like if it was just me and my dog and my Netflix account and my glass of wine? Wouldn't that be better than dating? And a lot of people realized, nope. It is not better than dating and being around real people. So I think once we come back out in the world, the people that are out there and want to date do miss people, do want to be in a relationship, do really want human interaction, and do want all of those things. So I want to talk about this great dating reset and how we've recalibrated, I think, in a positive way. So when I bring in complicated topics like this, I go through my old phone contacts, and I'm like, who can I dig up to come on and talk about this? And she hasn't been on this podcast in a long, long time. She's been on this podcast, though, probably more than anybody else. She's been our lead love guru for many, many years here at the Great Love Debate. She's known as Kimmy Love, but her maiden name is Kimmy Seltzer. Hi, Kimmy Seltzer.
Hi, Brian Love.
How are you?
It's good to be back. Although we're not in person. We're actually like on Zoom, which is not like us.
Yeah, we're not really on Zoom, though. We're filtering this through our fancy equipment here at Pod Populi in Scottsdale, Arizona. So I'm not pretending that we're Zooming. I'm pretending you're right here with me. But that's the point. Like so you are one of those people who embraced the Zoom and liked the Zoom. I'm one of the people who think the better we get at Zoom, the worse it is for the world. I don't want to be in Zoom. I don't want people to work remotely. I don't want people to have their jobs at home. I want people to go back to the office. I want people to go back to the restaurants. I want people to go back to real life. And I think the people who agree with me and feel the same way, that Zoom is fine in a pinch, but in reality, we need to sit across from each other and do podcasts, and we need to sit across from each other and break bread, and we need to sit across from each other and do business. All of those things and all of those people who feel that way, I think, are going to be better served moving forward.
Oh my gosh, I 100% agree. I never thought that Zoom is let's just replace real life with Zoom, you know. I think when we were talking, and here's the thing that I found with a lot of my clients is that there was no other choice in some points, where a lot of people just shut down not only their dating life, but their social life. And to, like what you were saying in the beginning, they were just sitting watching Netflix with their wine. And what I was saying is there were still ways to exercise the social muscle without it getting atrophied for a year. And the only way we could do that was virtually. And thank goodness we had that. And so what I found with a lot of my clients who didn't just shut down, but used this time to build skills on things that were hard even before the pandemic hit. So even when we did have IRLs, real life situations, that we saw that there was still hardships with flirting. There were still hardships with communication, and conversations and getting it to a place that people wanted it to be. So we use Zoom and virtual dating as a way of practicing. And now that we're like kind of integrating back into the world, we get to practice in real life all the things that, these people were practicing. And I have dozens of clients who are in real life like relationships and situationships, and they're happier than they ever been, because the other thing that I found is that it's a strange thing. It's almost a paradox. It's this thing called slow dating, where everything kind of slowed down, where people were really taking a look at how can I build an emotional connection and not rely so much on the physical, so that we can do a slow build with the connections that we have. And because of that, people are in better relationships than they ever been before. So obviously it takes both, and I 100% agree. And I'm excited for everyone to get back
some people,
out there.
the people who wanted us to stay closed longer and were sort of hiding behind, no, the science says we should stay closed for 10 more years. Those people, you don't want to date those people anyway, because they're looking for a way to get out of the game. They're looking for a way to hide out. You don't want, but the people who are like, I really can't wait to go to a concert, and I really can't wait to be around my friends, and those are the people that you need to date. Now, everybody, I think, from whatever the time is that your city, state, county, flips the lights back on, I think you need to take, 30 days, get your hair done, knock off that 15 pounds, get yourself ready. Don't be so anticipatory that you cannot wait to dive back out there, because you might not be ready. You might not be ready to run a marathon. Take a little time to breathe the air, go outside, walk around and have some casual encounters with other people. But we've all not aged well in the last year or so. A lot of us have not gone shopping. Whatever you were wearing in March 10th of 2020 may not be in style anymore. So take a little time and prep for the long haul, because you got to be like, 2021 is going to be my year. I've got 7 months left in this year. I haven't lost any time, and I'm going to make a strategy to go back out there and make this the best year ever.
Yes. Amen to that. And actually, that's why I've been doing so many virtual makeovers lately, where I've been going shopping. I have this really cool software now where I pin different looks and clothing, and people have been like, spring cleaning and getting rid of their COVID clothing, as I call it, and getting into new outfits. And with that, there's new energy and feeling good about yourself. I think that's the first thing that you can do to get back out there, is just feeling good about you.
Get used to wearing pants. Get used to wearing shoes again.
Pants.
A lot of people haven't worn pants in, people really got too comfortable in the sweatpant life. And, I think that's good. But the people who want to get out there, make a strategy, make a plan. Where am I going to go first? What am I going to do first? Because you could be like, excited little puppy, when somebody comes home, they're running all over and they're banging their head on the wall and they don't know what they're doing. But I think that the people that are out there, we recalibrated the whole dating world. I think the people that are out there miss the dating. And if you miss the dating, that means that you are no longer one of those people who are like, dating sucks, dating apps suck, there's no good guys, all women are crazy, all those kind of people. The people who miss the dating and miss the interaction, they're going at this with a mindset and a positivity that hasn't been seen on the dating landscape in many, many years.
Yeah, no, for sure. So much of it is that positivity and mindset. And I think that's part of the reset right? Like we've been in a state of negativity and now we can look at the world hopefully a little bit different. And, besides the clothes, it is also looking at, well, what can I do now? Like in ways of activities, ways that I can meet people out and about. And here's my thing, like, I feel like we all have to learn how to even talk to each other again, because it is different talking in Zoom than in real life. Yeah. We've been behind the masks and people have been avoiding eye contact. I mean, just because we have our mask on, it doesn't mean like the mask is over the eyes. Yet we pass people and people are like looking away.
Right.
And so it's just even like connecting with people non-verbally, I think is huge.
Communication. Yeah. And having a conversation, especially in the early parts of dating, is about rhythm, and rhythm leads to that banter. And everybody wants that casual back and forth. Part of that, though, is sometimes jumping in or slightly interrupting or talking over each other. And that's a wonderful thing. We have gotten out of that because of our Zoom interaction. We're a beat slower on everything. We make sure that the other person heard me. And so that cadence has really been screwed up. We have to get back into that normal flow, and that might not happen right away. It's a muscle we need to learn to use again, and a rhythm we need to get back into again. So people have to understand that we're a little bit like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank coming out of the hole, and the sun is very bright, and it's going to take a while for our senses to get back on course, and for our sort of our normal, our old equilibrium, or the things that we look for. It might not be instant, but we'll get there.
Oh, did you say something?
Yeah, see?
Just kidding.
And I think that the people who are sitting across from you, hopefully, that you couldn't wait to see, they're going to be more excited about seeing you just because they're seeing you or anybody. And that's a huge, huge advantage versus somebody's like, I don't want to go out with this guy. I'm just going to go. I can always get a date, or I'll have another date on Thursday. If you haven't had a date in 13 months, you're going to appreciate that person sitting across from you so much more than you did February 2020.
Yes. And I think on top of it, people are going to look at people differently, like things that we really appreciate in people, I also think has been highlighted, things that we really want, taking a look at things a little more seriously rather than the shiny object syndrome. Because I think that's what was kind of happening before the pandemic hit, is that people were just relying on the swiping and the physicality and the shiny objects, and no one really was taking a look at what was real, what mattered, and I do think there's a new appreciation with all this.
Yeah, I agree. So what, if anything, has changed in the people that you deal with or your clients? Is there anything that people are like, I had some time to think about this and I want to change this, or I want to do that? Is there one thing that stands out?
Yeah. I think I'm feeling in the air that there's this holding pattern that's happening with people. It's like everyone's just like, it's almost like everyone's waiting, they're waiting for it to be totally normal again. So either people are, I'm finding, saying, you know what, I'm going to start my dating life in May or June. Like they're giving themselves like a timeline. Or they're really like, they're getting out there and they're so excited. Like they're like kids in a candy store, and they're just, like they're looking at life differently. They're excited. They're appreciating the fact that they can sit in a restaurant and have a conversation, and so with that appreciation, there's almost this like kid-like quality that I always say is so endearing and attractive, is that we're wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, we're curious. We're like, okay, world, we're back, now what? And I think that is going to serve everybody. I also think, I have a theory that when it is totally safe and open, I think it's going to be like Girls Gone Wild and Guys Gone Crazy. Like, I think it's going to be one big orgy at some point. And then we might have to recalibrate after that.
That's why I've been telling people to look at it like it's December 14th. And there are all the presents under the tree, and you cannot just dive into them. You have to wait, but maybe you get to open one or two ahead of time, but you know that the presents are there waiting for you. So people start to get excited about the holidays, around Thanksgiving, and you have a build up, and you enjoy all of that. You don't just dive in and start throwing wrapping paper all over the place. Same thing with this. Like, the presents are going to be there under the tree, and you might get to open, a couple in April and May and June, but you're going to have access to all of these presents, and they're all for you. And so be excited that they're there, and don't worry